All right, so this week on the HTM Buddy Build, it's time. It's interesting, Ken. We found we were talking briefly before we started recording this, and Ken's like, I could probably slow down a little bit. You got a lot going on. Um, there might be he might get a little bit ahead, just as kind of a forewarning. Ken has a little bit more time, being that he's one of the lucky ones and he gets to be retired, and my job wants to retire me earlier in another way. So for this week, I did get the top of the saucer done for the most part. There's a couple things that still need to be done. Primarily, which one is the one that's upside down? It is this one that is upside down. So I need to pop that out, get that taken care of. Um, but I did get my front windows put in place. Ken, did you see how bad that print was over on this side?
Yeah, I saw that. I had a little bit of an issue with mine too in these little corners. I find
Yeah.
these little gaps in here.
So I
So
had to create that entire round section right there. It was like completely, it was like Ken doll smooth. Like it was not good. Like it was not good. And then there's just a gigantic like gap underneath. So excuse me. I'm gonna need a little work. So, question for you, real quick: when you're using putty, like I started puttying and then I stopped because I realized that no, not ready for the putty action just yet. But when you use putty, what sort of putty are you using for this model?
normally I'll use like the Viejo putty or sometimes Tamiya putty, but I think I actually might go with the auto body stuff this time. I
Really?
see I see
Autobody.
all the Star
Really?
Trek guys doing it, and I don't know why. Uh,
Huh.
I'm thinking maybe because you have bigger, like it's like this is a larger model, and you're
Right.
doing larger seams than you would be doing on an F-18 fighter jet, that sort of thing. I don't know if
Okay.
that's the reasoning, but I'm gonna try it.
Okay. All right. So if I were to use like Tamiya White, for instance, that'd be something that'd be totally acceptable for this, right?
It should be just fine.
Okay. Yeah, because I know it's Tamiya White. People are kind of like, use it, don't use it. Um, I've just was kind of like, what should I use for my putty? But that's a problem for later on. I guess for me, this week I'm going to be finishing up. I'm going to basically get caught up to Ken. I need to go ahead and finish getting the bottom saucer sanded down, and then getting all of my different window sections and the lower crystal installed. Basically, getting these two window sections on either side put in place, and then getting the rim windows as well put in place. And so, Ken gets done describing what he got done, what he's going to be doing this week, we're going to have a little bit of a tutorial session because he pointed something out that I could do to help with the fitment of these side pieces right here. So yeah, after that, after Ken gets done, we'll talk a little bit about a little tip and trick. So
Yeah,
there we
thanks,
go.
Jordan.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my video from the last episode, I managed to get all my windows in, my deflectors here and here, and then the impulse crystal, BC deck. So I've kind of got all that done on the top, then I did manage to get my side windows done. I think this one here probably turned out the best. Small gaps on some of the others, but this one here, you may want to come back and rework. I don't really like that large gap right there. So we'll see. I may have to sand a little more out and then move this forward, and I can put some plastic card or something in there to shim it, and then take up some of that space, and then come in and putty the rest of it. So,
Okay.
but for this week, I think I'm going to be doing basically I'll be doing my putty work. I'll probably do the phasers up here. I'll probably sand them down, or at least I'd like to, and then do the little phaser balls using those beads that we have.
Very
So
cool. And you're gonna be doing the phaser effect as well, right?
I am, but not off these phasers. The phaser
Oh, you're
effect
gonna
will
be
be
doing
for
love
the
the
super phasers.
on the super phasers. Okay, got it. I was thinking, being that I'm a little comfortable with fiber optics, I was thinking about having at least one of the turrets active with a, the blinking back and forth. That would be kind of cool. And I've half thought about putting a laser in there, but oh, why did I say that out loud? But yeah, I've thought a little bit about that as I'm a little comfortable with running the fiber optics. I don't know, just a little something to throw out there. So, well,
Well,
cool.
those beads do have the hole in them you could run a fiber optic cable through it.
Yeah, and I think they're I think they're 0.5 millimeter if I'm not mistaken. So it is a really nice fiber optic cable size. So
Oh, there you go.
something to think about. So okay, well, Ken, you said that you had an idea for me for how to mount the side window because, as you mentioned on yours, there was a little bit of the gap on the side that you weren't happy with. And so you asked if I had some wide tape, and I do. And it happens to be, I think we have the same size tape here. This tape is exactly the same width for the most part as the width of the hull, almost exactly.
Yes. So basically, my suggestion is because this was too far back, so obviously my positioning was wrong. But on this side here, my positioning was much better.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend is taking the piece of the resin, and you can basically just lay it down on your table, and then cover the face of it with the tape. Then cut out the tape exactly,
Around it.
yeah, to make a mask, and then put the
Okay.
mask. You don't need the top of the hull. You can take the top of the hull away, and then
Right.
put the mask in place so that it lines up with these pre-existing parts on the lower part of the hull. So you just would tape it in place, and then you know exactly where to cut. And I
Okay.
would say still cut just shy of it with the Sonic Saber, because the Sonic Saber shouldn't have any problem going through the tape as well. I would
Right.
hope. But yeah, so that would be my suggestion. That way you'll have a lot better positioning on this angle here than I did on this side over here.
So just kind of do one of these moves right here and then cut
Yep.
right around it.
And then you
Okay.
can put it face down right now like that and just, yep, cut around it. And you'll have a mask.
Very cool. Let's go ahead and give that a little peek see here.
Yeah, they say hindsight is 2020, and I was thinking about this afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, I should have done that." It makes so much sense.
Maybe I know what I'm doing by getting a little bit behind you. Let Ken go through and test this. Right. And I'm kind of coming in at a slight angle because they do have these little lips
Yes,
on
that
either
is.
side.
You gotta watch out for that.
So I'm coming in at a slight angle, like that.
Yeah, as long as you have just the face um, of the resin, you'll be good.
Right. All right. So there's that.
There we go.
Now, let's pop the
Yeah.
top off. Let's pull the tape off. Set that aside. And then basically, we're going to use this to line this up. Right along the side there.
Like holding my breath,
Right.
as if that's going to help you do that.
Right.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Even shows you how far down to go. You could do
Yeah,
that with
I
all
do.
the windows.
I'm going to do that with all the windows, and it is pulled up a little bit back here. I can see that it's a little bit up, so I'm going to go ahead and move this just a little bit.
Well, that's the upside. I mean, you have plenty of opportunities to reposition or redo it if you need to. Whereas if you once you start cutting, that's it.
There you go. Very nice. Okay. And then that just lined up really nice along the edge there. And
Yeah,
all I did was just line the bottom of this along the bottom of the tape, so it gives me that perfect like width, and it's basically the perfect size. So okay. Well,
exactly.
I'm going to demonstrate this for the rest of the panels for this episode. And then Ken, when we come back next week, um, we'll kind of review now for I I think for the rest of this, like that, dude, that's a fantastic little tip. Thank you. Like
You're
that
welcome.
is man, like yeah. Well, now a question. When doing these crystals, I did from
Yes.
the side. I went in from the side,
Yeah.
and I had a difficult time kind of getting around. Now, in this case, because we're trying to get this flat into the surface, should I just do a straight plunge down around the outside and then cut with the saber, or should I still take the side approach?
What I actually did, let me open mine up here really quick. Um, I actually came in from the bottom, from the inside, at least for the top one. If you watch my video there, you'll see I actually came in with the Sonic Saber and just went through and burred out.
Okay, so you went straight through from the bottom.
Here, I'll do that, and there you
Oh,
go.
there we go. There we go.
Yeah,
You
that's
went in
all I
through the
did.
bottom, huh?
Yeah, so I would say take my Sonic Saber and I could cut just around here with the Sonic Saber,
Oh,
and then afterwards come around because that'll bring you out right around here somewhere. You'll have a little bit of a
okay.
lip, but then you just work on that lip because it'll be
That'd have
so
been
much
so
easier
much
without
easier.
all this material when that's all gone.
That would have been so much easier than what I attempted to do on the top. Well, excellent. Well, thank you for the tips and trips, my friend. That is fantastic. I can't wait to apply that. So awesome,
Yeah, so
awesome,
folks at
awesome,
home,
awesome.
we're doing this so that making the mistakes so you don't have to.
That's right. That's right. And Ken's doing that mistake making for us. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, there it is. Here we are. It is time for another week of building. We will be back. Well, we'll be back when we put out this video. That was really deep, Jordan. Wow. Wow. All right, my friend. Well, good luck to you on your build this week. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you get done.
All right. Thank you very much, Jordan. You take care and good luck with that. Let me know how you make out with the mask.
Will do. All right. So I've done some work. I'm going to go ahead and review what I've done so far and my learning curve. As always, there's a learning curve because it's me and I'm still so new to modeling that there are times where I do things and I'm like, why did you do that? So I'll start, I guess, with that. So, first thing, I took Ken's advice and I went ahead and cut out for the lower impulse crystal or warp crystal, whatever you want to call it, down below. I went ahead and cut from below and had a much easier time getting this one installed. As you can see there, it turned out really good. I just need to get some putty work done. I'm going to be doing all of my putty work all at once. I'd rather kind of do that and get everything smoothed out at once. While I'm all kind of on one mind of doing that, I want to get all my parts installed first. But there we go. That is that installed. And then I did do the tape technique and it succeeded over on this side. And we'll go ahead and get these installed and I'll show you how that's done. For this side, however, it did not. So here is our assembled pieces. Now, it did get installed and it got installed okay. But when I went through and did some cutting, let's just say that I either cut wrong, measured wrong, did something wrong, and things have happened. I had to use some sheet styrene to kind of build up some pieces. As we were worried about, this side is the part that had the broken piece, and then I had to use some Tamiya to kind of bond it back in place. But as you can see, it did separate. But what I was able to get done is get it cleaned up and put back in place. So everything's all flush, looks good, everything's all measuring up properly. It all looks like it's stock and everything like that as it is on the other side. But yeah, it came off like there was nothing I could do when I was cutting it. It just kind of broke off. And in the process, I was trying to be ginger and cut. I don't know. I cut too far and then too close, and then yada yada yada. And then I sanded down too much here and just used pieces of sheet styrene to kind of clean it up. And I basically cut a little too far along over here as well. And in the process, I broke the piece. So it was an adventure getting this side done. I did, however, get the two pieces over here measured out, cut, sanded, and put in place. Well, not put in place. We're going to go ahead and take care of that here in a minute after a little bit more sanding work. But we're basically able to slot this in place just like so, and it fits in nice. The top of the saucer works. I make sure that everything all looks good, and then we have our other piece right here, which I just finished getting sanded and ready to go. And this also fits in there perfectly, nicely and flush. The key is get these sanded into place. Cut your hole or your slot a little smaller than you're expecting, and then go ahead and sand down into place. I was doing this on stream, so you can see I got a little bit excited down here at the very end. It was late at night, and I was using the Sonic Saber, and so don't use your Sonic Saber, kids, when it's late at night. But those go ahead and they're ready to go. And then what I've got ready for us, and it's going to be the last part of this episode and the one part that I'm going to demonstrate besides the installation of the pieces right here, is going ahead and I'm going to just, for the sake of showing one section of this, we're going to go ahead and install one of our light or one of our window boxes here in place. And I have everything all taped up and ready to go for our templates. And so where these get taped into place, and so you have the end of this one here, we're going to skip this whole line or this whole panel line, and then we're going to go ahead and line this up and center it over that and go ahead and put our tape over the top of that. And then the next one is we're going to skip this whole panel line and then we center it up over here. So we're going to get a total of 4 sections put in place. There's not one sitting directly over the center like you see in a lot of Star Trek ships, like in the Next Generation with 10 forward and what have you. These ones are going to be offset, and so we're going to be having 4 of these put in place. Now, I'm going to go ahead and for the sake of this does take a long time to get done. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to tape off and get your first part cut, and then we're going to go ahead and sand and put in place the first one, and then I'm going to go ahead and take care of the other 3 off camera, and then we'll come back and review what's been done. As with building these models, I'm finding that I like to show you guys as much as I possibly can, but what I find myself doing is I wind up just like, I guess the best way of putting it, I wind up rushing the work, and I find it much better to just kind of take my time with it and show you what I've been doing. So let's go ahead and start first with getting our 2 parts that we do have ready to assemble put into place. And so what I'm going to do is, as we are using resin parts here, we're going to go ahead and use our CA. And very simply, what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of CA. I've been doing a little bit of recording today. So I do have a little bit of CA here in this little applicator cup here. We're just going to go ahead and set that right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some CA and run it along the inside and along the bottom down here, and not using a whole terrible lot. Like I want to be able to, if I need to remove this for some reason, if I need to line it up, reline it up, I don't want to use a whole heaping amount of our CA here along our edges. And then because it does have these little lips on either side, I'm going to make sure they're basically grab and pull to the outside of the model. I'm going to hit the outside here, or the inside. And then with our windows facing up, I'm going to go ahead and slot that in place. Get that put in, lined up. There we go. Just like so. There's a little bit of a gap. Once again, totally fine. But I'm just making sure that it's sitting in flat. We can putty whatever gaps we have left. All right. There we go. Excellent. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the front one. Being a little bit quicker, I don't want my CA to dry up. I use medium consistency. I don't like the stuff that flashes off really quick. like being able to work with the super glue a little bit before the glue dries. I'm just going to layer it along the inside. There we go. This one's cut wasn't exactly precise either. I got a little bit too excited, so to say. All right, so now, oh, I left some sanding to do. Sorry, we're doing this right now. I don't have much time. There we go. All right, that dried out a little bit of my glue. Yeah, I realized that the problem. This is exactly it with recording like scale models, is you got to do stuff. Sometimes you forget. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get this slotted into place, and then I'm going to start in the back and get this piece shaped, because the prints aren't exactly where you expect them to be or want them to be. So I'm going to kind of shape it, the first part of it here. Then get the bottom put in place. Just kind of hold it like that for a minute. All right, so there is that all installed into place. We'll let the dry glue cure up a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to go ahead and tape off and install. Sorry, as I'm holding in place, I'm realizing my finger is stuck to it. Yep, my model, I'm stuck to the finger. All right, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and let this cure up for a second. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and get our first window panel installed along the front of the saucer. All right, so that is all nice installed, cured, ready to go. I had to use a little bit of zip kicker encouragement. So let's go ahead and grab our first window section here. I don't think it really matters. What we're going to do is find our first piece of tape. We'll be skipping this one, and then we're going to center this window. And how I'm going to center it, so I'm going to fold the tape very carefully without bending it, or without sticking it all together. Pinch the center point. There we go. And then center that directly right there. And then get it lined up along the top of the hole. For the record, I hate the smell of kicker. But sometimes it is a necessary evil. All right, there we are. So now what we're going to do is, this part is very thin. So we're going to be very careful, and we're going to stay along the inside here of the tape. And I'm going to use my sonic saber. I'm going to cut straight down, which is not the easiest in this plastic, apparently, even with the sonic saber. So do be careful. And cut down on the other side. There we go. And we're going to cut along the bottom here, just inside. So I'm going to plunge in, match up there, and then just run along the inside. And do this in 2 passes. Being careful or pushing where my hand is. I'm going to move my hand out of the way here. Nope. Scored a line, so let's just go ahead and go back over that part. There we go. Right through. Let's go back over the first part here. There we go. And the part is out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape. Set my saber off to the side. This is the part that we're fitting in place. Wouldn't be one of my episodes. I haven't said that in a little while. Let's go ahead and see how that slots in. It is a little small, which is perfect. So now what I want to do, just going to take a look, see from the inside perspective. Okay. Need to come in about 1/16 of an inch on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sanded down. And I will be right back. All right, so after our first little bit of grinding, I'm using my rotary tool right now, which I haven't used in a little while. I was able to get the outsides perfectly spaced out with a little bit of a, see a little bit of an edge there. But I'm going to go ahead and sand down probably another, millimeter or two and see how the fitment is. I'll be right back. All right, so after a bunch of sanding and getting it all fitted in, I got the grinding wheel. I moved it a little too close there. So it is what it is on that. We can just go ahead and use putty to fix that in. But there it is. We're all nice and even. I went ahead and used some cardstock to check to make sure that we're level on the tops, and we are. We're all good to go on that front. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other three installed. And when I come back, we'll go ahead and review the work that's been done and talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so after probably about 30 minutes or so of grinding and sanding and all of that, outside of the demonstration one that got a little funny, the other three of these turned out really, really well. So all we're going to do, and for these resin pieces, the windows, the top layer, basically the one with the most windows, where we only have the two windows down here on the bottom, the ones with the windows on the bottom are going to go towards the bottom. So all I'm going to do is quickly go through and sand up our resin pieces. They're fairly well sanded, but there's a little bit of evidence of some of the nubs around, so I'm just going to go ahead and sand them up. All right, our pieces are all sanded up, and then all we're going to do today for the rest of this episode is go ahead and get our pieces glued into place. So I'm just going to quickly use my CA through the applicator here and just run a bead right here along the edge. Try not to use too much, but just enough. And all of these resin window panels are the exact same. So I'm just going to grab one, fit it into place, try to center it up as much as possible, and hold it there for just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and do this for the other three, and I'll be right back to review what we've gotten done this week. All right, so I've gotten all four of my window sections put in place. Actually, 6. I've gotten these two put in right here at the beginning of the segment, and then here we are along the outside. It went really well. I definitely learned a few things on what to do, what not to do. This is definitely a very new skill for me. As you know, this has been kind of learning how to use the sonic saber and then sanding in and then puttying. I would say that puttying is going to be the one area where I'm probably going to learn a lot on this build. Seeing a little bit of a gap here. We're gonna have to putty that out. Nope, the glue is still a little soft. Kind of able to do a little bit of manipulating and moving here. There we go. But putting is something that I haven't done a whole lot of, and so we're definitely going to need to do a lot of putty work in order to smooth this out and get it all looking good. And so we've gotten a majority of all of our resin pieces for the windows put. Actually, all of our resin windows have been installed, along with the A and B deck and the deflector array. So, along with our top and bottom crystals. So, hey, we're actually making some pretty good progress here, guys. In the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the segment, in the beginning of the segment with our next episode. But the next episode, we're going to continue on with our modifications and getting some of our detail work, specifically with our phaser turrets taken care of. And I think that's going to be a majority of what I'm going to be focusing on because we're going to need to get this sanded down and get our little beads put in place. So there it is. The next part of our buddy build is complete. All of our window sections, the resin window sections have been installed, and we are quickly moving on towards getting the sanding and puttying done, and then getting all of our electronics installed into the main saucer here. So that's what I got for you today, and I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me watching me modify a model, and I think that's pretty damn cool. You guys have any questions or comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. Like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world where we happen to be. And just remember, from hell's heart, I stab at thee.